Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Google Plus Hangout with your host, Chase Oliver here, that I told you guys about on my Raw review. For all you guys wondering about the Q&A, it will be posted tomorrow. Calm down. It will be posted tomorrow. I know you guys like the Q&As. I haven't forgotten about it. It's finals week. I have to focus on those stupid books that we like to read or we're forced to read for school, so that's why I haven't been able to post it. But today is going to be a special Google Plus Hangout that will last an hour long, talk about the WWE Midcard division, but I'm not alone. He was with me for the Extreme Rules live discussion. I love him so much, so I brought him back onto the show. Introducing Antoine Moore from the Mortar Life podcast. Antoine, how's it going?
How you doing, my brother? I'm very glad to be on the show, man. You know, it's a wonderful, wonderful thing and a wonderful time to always be here. I am the humble co-host of this wonderful mid-card Google Talk Hangout. I am Antoine Moore, and I'm ready to get this show started, man. Before I want to do anything, like Slag Daddy says, like Triple H does, you got to get yourself over.
Yes.
Go to www.mortalifeent.com. Book me for all motivational speakings, life coaching. Check out the radio show. Many big updates and news coming up. Follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/MonteasyMoore, Monteasy, Moore, all lowercase. And also, Chase has a lot of my information in the video, so you can just check me out and see what's going on, man. He's also been a guest on Mortal Life Radio previously. He will be the next episode we do online, which will be the first hour will be a dedication to Randy Orton. We'll talk about wrestling in general. The topics will be like, what do we miss the most about wrestling? What do we miss the most? So look out for that show coming soon. Let's get started, man.
Yes, we're the WWE, and Antoine and we wanted to do another Google Plus Hangout, and I like doing the Google Plus Hangouts a lot. So if any of you guys have really great ideas and you want to do a Google Plus Hangout on my channel or your channels, just ask me and I'll be down to do it. But he was like, think of a topic and I'll get you, and then later on we'll do the show on Wednesday. And so I was thinking on a topic Sunday night, and I was watching old stuff on the WWE Network, and I said, wow, I can't believe I'm caring about a match with Scotty 2 Hotty right now. I was caring about a match with Scotty 2 Hotty, and I was just saying to myself, I wouldn't even care if Yoshitatsu was in the middle of that fucking ring right now. I don't really care about half of these mid-carders in the WWE. I always view the mid-carders are kind of like side characters in TV shows. And the WWE, whether you people like it or not, it is a TV show, and you need to have those side characters that you love. I mean, you don't love scenes of characters you hate. You love scenes of people that you see and you love. And that's what I was trying to get out there. It's like the mid-card division's weak, and I want to know a way to rebuild the mid-card division and, pretty much make it a great division again. And I'm not just talking about building up guys to become main event stars and go for the WWE Heavyweight Championship. I'm talking about building up where, a guy can stay in the mid-card division, and it's okay that he's a mid-carder. He doesn't need to go for the world title. He could be someone that is just a lovable mid-carder, and, hey, maybe one day we do give him a nice little, thanks for your hard work, here's the world heavyweight title, but someone that can be like that type of guy. Lower card guys that you care about, like the Scotty 2 Hotties, Spike Dudley back in 2004, all these guys back in the 80s and the 90s who we used to care about in the lower mid-card scene, and those upper mid-carders that will look like threats one day to become the WWE heavyweight. Because I feel with the WWE, they know how to build up upper mid-carders. They don't really know how to build good main offenders, but upper mid-carders, they always seem to do a good job in, because right now when you look at the upper mid-card scene, you got Roman Reigns, you got a Dean Ambrose, you got a Seth Rollins, you got a Bray Wyatt, and a Cesaro. Yes, these guys are not being booked excellently, but these guys are great upper mid-carders that you can argue are future world champions. But what about the mid-card scene, the title scene? Antoine, what would you do to help rebuild that title scene for the mid-card division and make it interesting again for people to talk about?
All right. Very nice segue, man. Very nice segue into this, because it really sets the platform for what we're talking about here. Whether it's lower mid-card, or upper mid-card, the first thing you want to do is you want to establish their character first. You want to establish who they are. Let's start from scratch. We got an hour show, so let's start from the very beginning and piece where we want to take them to an eventual maybe title shot, or want to be able to take them to a point where they're just mid-carders. Let me say from the beginning. Let me give you a little history, you fans, a little history first before we go right into what I would do. Look at Jake the Snake Roberts. Look at Mr. Perfect. Look at Ravishing Rick Rude. Look at the Honky Tonk Man, who's not the greatest wrestler, but his character got over. Look at some guys you can name that were mid-card guys and essentially always made an impact. They made an impact somehow. and they were never world champions. They were never world champions, but they were some of the greatest workers that you've seen. Shawn Michaels for a good period of time was a mid-carder. Bret Hart for a period of time was a mid-carder. That's where you establish your fan base. Then when you get to the top, you maintain it. You become bigger than life. I think you have to start at the beginning. Let's start from the roots.
Mm-hmm.
Who is this person? Who is this person? Why should I care about this person that's coming on the roster? Is this person, are we going to get a vignette? Is this person going to start with a tag team? Is this person going to start individually? What about it is what is going to make their character? The traditional way people do it is usually they have vignettes. Usually the vignettes start. They promote it for a week, a month, 2 months, 3 months, 2 days, however the WWE does it. If they're lazy, they'll do it like a couple weeks before. If they really want to build somebody up, they'll do it a couple months. You build their character. You make their if they don't do vignettes, you might bring them out like how they did with Santino that one time, Chase, where they brought him out the crowd randomly that time. You do something creative. A vignette doesn't always have to be done to introduce a guy to the mid card and essentially put him right in there. But you essentially want to do something unique in order to bring them in. You want to do something to bring them in unique. If I could bring somebody right now who I can give credit for not being brought in the right way, but ended up getting over right now, is Antonio Cesaro. Well, Cesaro now.
Yeah.
He came in a very bland character. His character at first sucked. He was a very, very good wrestler, but he had no personality. They gave him a microphone when he's not the greatest talker, and he flopped at first, but essentially he figured it out. He's been in the mid-card this whole time. He's not been this huge world title guy. It's been a couple years for him. He's been in the same position. He's worked his behind off. He tweaked his character, picked up that Cesaro swing, got with a tag team, got with another guy. I don't like the Jack Swagger, but he got with a tag team, and he got with a guy who can talk. Then you build a guy. You can build a guy in many different ways. Maybe what you can do with a mid-carder as well, before I let you retort, is you can get him with a manager. You can get him with somebody who can talk. The manager is the lost art. Seems like now they throw everybody with Paul Heyman in order to get them over. Seems like now you get them with Paul Heyman. Maybe what you can do to build the mid-card division back, to start them out, like Lana is with Rusev. Shout out to Lana, Jesus Christ.
Oh, yeah.
With Rusev. Get them a manager. Get them a manager that can help build their careers too. That's what Bobby Heenan did. Bobby Heenan didn't have a whole bunch of world champions. He had Haku. He had Rick Rude. He had a whole bunch. He had he had a couple tag teams. I forgot all those guys the Heenan family had. He had Hercules. He had so many guys. Barbarian. But the thing about it is, all those guys weren't world champions. They were a stable of mid-card guys, but they all had a role and they all worked. That's where I would start. I would start with a manager, a vignette, have them randomly come out the crowd, do something spectacular, spontaneous, or I would have some kind of identity to where they come out, I know exactly who that person is. One of the four.
Yeah, no, see, exactly. And when you talked about Bret Hart, Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels were wrestling back in the WWF at 1988. A lot of people don't really realize that, but they were on the WWF roster for a long time. A lot of people may just view them as main event guys, but they paid their dues, and they made it into the 1990s being the two biggest stars of the 90s. And the thing is about that is the WWE knew how to book their mid-card division. Nowadays, with guys like Kofi Kingston and Cody Rhodes, they get lost in the shuffle because these guys are not being built well. Like, look at where Bret Hart was for the longest time. He was in the tag team with Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and the Hart Foundation was a successful tag team for the WWF for a long period of time. It wasn't the most over tag team, but it definitely got Bret Hart noticed and made Bret Hart into a star, and they progressively made Bret Hart into the IC champion and eventually the WWF champion when they felt he was a new guy. The problem is, none of these guys in the mid-card division, like you said, are getting that progression. Like, we would get vignettes for some superstars, but then afterwards, these guys would either get too hot for the WWE, and they would put them with the main event guys, and then those guys don't really succeed because either a John Cena's ego gets in the way and does not want to put that mid-card guy over, or they just feel like, wow, they really let us down in that big-time feud we put them in, or they get injured and they get screwed. And then when it comes down to the manager, Paul Heyman, right now, he's not really that successful. We talked about Bobby the Brain Heenan and who he has managed. Some of those guys weren't successful, but when it comes down to it, Heyman managed Punk, which was already an established main eventer, and then Ryback and Curtis Axel, who I think Curtis Axel, minus the mic work, is a really underrated type of wrestler that could actually do good things for this industry, but he can't because he's obviously limited with his mic skills. He can't talk whatsoever. There's nothing interesting about the guy except that he's related to Mr. Perfect. Ryback, for example, is a guy that should have been a star, but the WWE was too afraid. And that's my problem is I think the WWE is too afraid sometimes of pushing some of these mid cards. Like I said, I was watching a match with freaking Spike Dudley and Scotty 2 Hotty, and I want Scotty 2 Hotty to win the Cruiserweight fucking title. I mean, that just shows how good the Cruiserweight division was for the WWE and just showed how much good storytelling they could do for the lower mid-card guys. Because lower mid-card guys, and you mentioned Hockey Talk, man, he's probably one of the best lower mid-card guys ever. Santino, at this point, when earlier in his career, he was one of the better lower mid-card guys of his career because of what he was doing with the Hunkel meter and all that other stuff. They were doing interesting, unique things with these guys that made you care about them. But I just feel right now, none of the mid-card you should really care about. There's not one guy on the mid-card I would tell people, like, you need to watch this guy because he's such a big deal and he'll become a big thing or he's an interesting character. I don't think there's one guy on the roster right now. Can you point out a mid-card right now on the roster that is not like the Shield or the Wyatts or Cesaro, that one mid-card that is interesting enough to show to other viewers? Can you tell me a guy? Because right now I'm drawing a blank.
I'm drawing a blank, man. I'm really sitting there trying to think, and if I could bring up a valid point about who would I say? I honestly can't think of one. Some people in the comment section below might be like, oh, you know, Big E still's got a shot, and so-and-so still's got a shot, but right now there isn't anybody who's currently on the card, Chase, that I would actually put my investment in. That's not Bray Wyatt, that's not the Shield, or not Cesaro. I personally feel that in order to make this work, creative team has to do this. Let's start from this. We started from where it all started, from guys we named that really were great. Let's think about some other ideas that we can do. Primetime players were the exact example of a team that if you would have kept them together for a period of time and you would have let that grow organically. Now imagine with the millions of dollars dance becoming something so huge over time. It wasn't huge, but it was starting to get there.
Yeah,
you could have made millions of dollars T-shirts. Yeah, you could have made the millions of dollars T-shirts. You could have put so much stuff behind it, and then a year and a half from now, have Titus turn on Darren. Yes. Then if you're gonna turn him heel, have him do it because it will mean more. Then when the Shield break up now, it'll actually mean more. It will mean more in the grand scheme of things because to be honest with you, the mid-card, the upper mid-card, the WWE has built so well to the point where the Shield, honestly, I'm gonna be real with you, Chase. The Shield has saved Raw like the past month to me.
Agreed. With Evolution.
Let me put Evolution in there too. I will put that whole feud. I will not discredit Triple H. I will not discredit Randy Orton and Batista. I want to give a big shout out to those guys. You know, I have my gripes with all three of them, but I will tell you, and I'm a fan of them. But I will tell you one thing: those 6 guys have been putting on an incredible show lately.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And when you were talking about the primetime players, another thing is also, Antoine, you will agree, tag teams, when they break up, you care about them more if they had success. Say, for example, with the primetime players, also Crime Time. Yes, Crime Time was a lovable tag team, but what the fuck did these two guys ever do with each other to make them successful and care about? I mean, when you look at tag teams that broke up, you know, the Hardy Boys, every time they were trying to break up into a feud, it was interesting when they were facing off against each other because you knew that these guys had a success, not just the fact that they're also brothers, but that they had a success in the tag team run. Look at Edge and Christian, where Christian, he got jealous of Edge because Edge, you know, they were a tag team, and all of a sudden Edge was breaking off on his own, and he was becoming king of the ring, and he was winning the IC title, and that got to Christian's head, you know, saying, like, Edge is not better than me, I'm better than Edge. Edge is not carrying me, and it builds more animosity, and you can relate to a character like a Christian or relate to an Edge that says, yes, I have that younger brother or younger sibling that thinks I'm just better than him. And then you can relate to Christian and say, hey, I'm with Christian on this. I'm jealous too. That's unfair to Christian that he's not getting the same opportunities Edge is. That's what they were able to do in the mid-card division is you could at least pick a side. You could at least understand where each of the characters are going for when it comes down to the tag teams. When it comes to, like...
Yep. Man. I'm sorry to cut you off, man. You just said it, Chase. Mm-hmm. You just said it. Go ahead. Finish what you were saying, man. I'm gonna get to the point after. Go ahead.
Yeah, like with Shawn Michaels when he broke up with Mark Jannetty, he felt like, most people would feel like this. Like, you have a coworker, you feel like that coworker is holding you back, and you want to do something about it. Shawn Michaels did that with Marty Jannetty. He felt Marty Jannetty was holding him back, super kicked him, and that's what launched the heel Shawn Michaels. And that's the thing. And then you also felt bad from Jannetty because you said, what an asshole this Shawn Michaels is. This guy, freaking betrayed one of his best friends just because he's holding him back. Like, that's what the mid-card division with tag teams would do. That's what the great thing about the tag team division was, too, because the tag team division does fall with the mid-card division was you would build mid-card stars up because of the tag teams that they were in, and also you would get that nostalgia feeling whenever that tag team would reunite and help each other again. Like, how many times has the Hardy Boys, reunited and everyone just said, oh, this is fucking awesome, the Hardy Boys are back. How many times were fans begging for Edge and Christian to come back? People want to see Edge and Christian back because that was a good tag team for them. I mean, hell, back in TNA, I feel one of their better storylines they've done in recent years is when Bubba Ray became Bully Ray. That was one of TNA's best storylines because it was a true example of how Bubba Ray felt about Devon, and it was awesome. It was a good storyline, even though executed really poorly by TNA. It was still a good storyline, and that's the thing about the mid-card division is with the primetime players, when they broke up, who gave a shit? It's not like these two did anything. Darren Young is just a black-looking John Cena. Freaking Titus O'Neil. Titus O'Neil, at this point, is just a failed football player. That's pretty much all you got with these guys. I mean, the highlight of the primetime player's career is honestly just Darren Young coming out of the closet. That's the highlight that you're going to remember about their time as the primetime players is Darren Young coming out of the closet. And how does that help Titus? How does that help Darren? I mean, you got to give these guys the tag team titles and make them a lovable tag team for you to care about them when they do break up and actually feature them a little bit more. But they just don't seem to feature some of these lower mid-card guys because some of these lower mid-card guys, there are people that people tune in to see. Like Justin Gabriel, for example. I see Justin Gabriel. Right. I see someone that can give you a good TV match, someone that the fans can easily connect with. He's a good-looking dude, so women are going to like him. And I see him being that type of guy that if you want to get a monster heel over, you put him against a Justin Gabriel because that monster heel just beats someone that the fans like just organically in a Justin Gabriel. And I feel Justin Gabriel fits perfect mold of what you should look for in a lower mid-card guy. I don't feel like there's that many guys. I mean, where's the jobbers nowadays? Like, we have to have these guys beat actual talent to make themselves look over instead of the lower mid-card guys. I mean, why is Batista facing Sheamus right now? Why is Batista facing Sheamus right now? That should be a pay-per-view match.
I was just about to say that. That's a pay-per-view match. See, here's the thing. The whole avenue of everything changed in this when they stopped bringing a lot of jobbers in, and when mid-card guys stopped having investments in people stopped investing time into these guys' careers. And into these times on TV. Let me tell you something. Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty is a mid-card, lower mid-card feud at that time, and they were a tag team. They were lower to mid-card, and that is one of the best angles in wrestling history. And it wasn't a championship. It wasn't a WWE championship rivalry. This was something small to the totem pole of what Hulk Hogan and everybody else was doing. But this was such a nicely built angle. You think about all the things that was going on in the middle of Pat. Let's look at the mid-card back in the days. You had the Godfather, who came out with the hose, which is very entertaining. You had, how many people? You had Rey Mysterio at a time, who was a great mid-carder when he first came. Just going into recent memory, you had a lot of guys. Dolph Ziggler was a good mid-carder for a period of time. Yeah. I'm not saying he's not bad now, but the way he's booked is not good now. If you look at a couple of mid-card, I mean, even if recently, let's say some recent guys. Okay, Antoine, don't go all the way back. Let's talk about somebody right now. Big E had a good start at first. Those first couple weeks, like the first month Big E had that title, you starting to think, okay, they're doing something. The only person I can say right now that has potential, but knowing that the WWE is going to mess it up, Chase, is Wade Barrett. Yes. That's the only person that has absolute potential. But how many times has this guy had a title? How many times this guy's gotten different image looks? How many times does this guy come out with that same cape and throw that cape off and nobody cared? And he said that now he has a gimmick. Now he came out. If he can come out with this bad news gimmick and recover from the Nexus burial that happened to him, I will give him a lot of credit. But I'm going to tell you right now, the mid-card is in a very tough situation because what's going to happen is if you build the mid-card so strong, then eventually you're going to get a point where you have to take on Mr. Superman. And then when you take on Mr. Superman and you end up going through hell on the high water to win, you're probably going to lose all the damn matches if you don't win. You ain't never going to beat him clean. Then you're going to get down, then you're going to go right back down to the totem pole, and then they have to rebuild you over again. So the thing is, what can the WWE do? Well, here's some tips that I have right now that they could do. Besides all things that I said earlier. First, have these guys fight. Why does everybody on the roster that are mid-carders, some of them have to be jobbers? Listen, Alberto Del Rio is a 4-time champion. I can't stand him, but he shouldn't be jobbing right now.
Yeah.
He has a resume. He has a resume. So he should not be jobbing. Should he be in the championship picture right now? No. I never liked him in the first place, but he is a 4-time champion, I believe. I think 4 times. I could be wrong. Correct me in the comment section if I'm wrong.
Yeah, you're right. He's 4-time.
Okay, but what I'm saying is that you had guys like this. You have guys with resumes. And the bad thing is, Chase, is when you have guys with resumes that end up losing like this, it ends up looking worse on them, and there's no coming back from it. You look at somebody like Dolph Ziggler, who was a Money in the Bank winner, who was a former World Heavyweight Champion, and you look at that, and then you see where he's at now, and it hurts him because you look at his resume. It's not their fault, but you look at their resume and say, damn, these guys are real talented dudes. What's going on? What's really going on with these guys? These guys are talented wrestlers, and because they're not being put in strong places, they mess up. It's like this, man. The WWE does this now. They do everything in their power to make sure their upper mid-card and their main event is great. And they're in the main event so far has been garbage because this Daniel Bryan Kane angle is so stupid. It's the stupidest thing I've seen. Probably. This is one of the dumbest things I've seen ever since Fit Finley and Vince McMahon talking about Hornswoggle was their illegitimate son, bro. This is talking at that. And maybe that's a reach to a lot of people, but this is horrible. Once you saw Brie Bella in that car with that horrible acting, it was over for me. I was like, I'm done. Why am I running? Why? This has nothing to do with but I just want to get this out before we go back to the mid-card. Why am I Daniel Bryan, and why am I running from Kane a couple days after I beat his ass at Extreme Rules? I put the dude through a flaming table, and now, the next week on Raw, I'm running from him again. For what? For what? The Shield and Evolution in the upper mid-card is the only rivalry right now that makes total sense.
Yes.
Everything. I have no complaints about the rivalry. You can see people can nitpick certain things they don't like about the feud, but I like the way it's going. 1 week somebody gets an advantage. Next week the other team gets an advantage. Then they're both angry at each other. Then somebody wants to fight somebody. Oh, I want you, Roman Reigns from Batista. Then you get Randy Orton to fight Seth Rollins. You get Triple H and Roman Reigns. You get Triple H, Dean Ambrose. There's so many ways you can mix this up to make this. You can, seriously, if Batista leaves and then you get somebody to replace him, maybe Sheamus, you can make that feud last all the way to SummerSlam, maybe the pay-per-view after.
Yes.
You can. If you do this the right way, you can stretch this. Because you can stretch this to a point where everybody gets advantage of everybody, and then there's finally a blow-off matchup. I wish they would do War Games or something like that. We know that's not going to happen. Hell, do a Hell in a Cell with the 6 of them. Who cares? Do a tag team elimination chamber match. Why not? Why not? 3 on 3. Why not? You know what I'm saying? So this is what I'm saying. Then you go to the lower mid card before I let you retort. You have guys who are like Big E. It's like the WWE gets these investments in these guys. Vince McMahon gets that look. Oh, I like this guy. He's got the muscle. He's got this. He's got that. I can't do a good Vince impression, but that's the best I can do. And he looks at these guys, and it's like they get an opportunity at first. Fandango had a little shot. Big E had a little shot. And then these guys just fall off the face of the earth. This is why, the reason why I watch every Raw review you have, bro. The reason why, during the mid-card of your Raw reviews, you always look just drug out talking about it. Because you're like, this is just wasting time. It's just wasting time. Like, there's nothing intriguing about this anymore. The only thing I wait for now is usually the beginning of the show and the end of the show is usually the best part of Raw. The middle with the mid-card is horrible, man. It's always like that.
And the problem is like what you were talking about. These guys, they get fed to Cena. It's like when the WWE sees a superstar, they think, oh, my God, this guy could actually have potential. Let's give him to John Cena. Why is it that a mid-card guy, to see if he has potential, we have to see them feud against John Cena in that high bar? You're putting them at too much of a high bar because let's face it, whether we like Cena or not, Cena is the highest bar in the WWE. He has the obstacle. He has the man. And when you put someone like a Big E who's right here and try to make him right here to John Cena's level, it ain't going to work. It ain't going to work. And that's the problem, is because Big E doesn't have people to feud with right here. Fandango doesn't have people to feud with right here. They don't have time to build these guys up in the same area. These guys are not feuding with other mid-carders to get blow-off matches. Like, the last well-built mid-card superstar, and you can argue me with this, the last well-built mid-card superstar, especially in the PG era, is The Miz. Look at the freaking Miz. Started out in a tag team with John Morrison, had a successful tag team run with John Morrison. You could argue that they should have become the undisputed tag team champions, but at the same time, it added to the luster of when they did break up, when they got drafted. Afterwards, you had The Miz go on to win the United States Championship, have a great feud with Daniel Bryan for the U.S. title. Losing the U.S. title, goes on to become Mr. Money in the Bank. Actually, he won the Money in the Bank with the U.S. title. No one thought The Miz could win Money in the Bank. And then afterwards, he was a great U.S. champion. You have him lose it to Daniel Bryan in a great feud. Miz goes on to actually look like a legit Money in the Bank type of guy, looks like a legit, type of superstar. You have him cash in, and he becomes WWE champion, and he really did a good job getting heel heat on himself and getting the heel heat, the babyface reaction onto John Cena. That's what The Miz did really, really well. And you could argue, yes, his WWE title run was kind of lackluster because he had to face Jerry the King Lawler out of all people. But in all honesty, The Miz did a very good job, and the WWE did a very good job in building up to The Miz to that point of him becoming a main eventer, because he was a guy the internet could not stand. A lot of wrestling fans could not stand because he was a reality TV star trying to play his dream. But he went on to do stuff with Miz and Morrison, and Miz and Morrison lasted a long time. The Dirt Sheet was one of the hottest things in the WWE on that WWE.com, and they built him up to a great point to when he became champion. But then afterwards, they see that he failed when it came down to pay-per-view buys and T-shirt sales, because nowadays in the WWE, if you can sell the T-shirts, you're considered a big star, and yes, that's the standard nowadays in the WWE. So for all you future wrestlers out there, make sure you know how to sell T-shirts, because it doesn't matter what the fuck you're doing in the ring. What matters is, can you sell me a fucking T-shirt? Can you make me buy a fucking T-shirt? Doesn't matter the design, the look, the logo, or anything. As long as you can sell a T-shirt in today's WWE, that's how you're progressing up the card. It doesn't matter what talent, what anything else. If you can sell T-shirts and sell pay-per-views back then, that's how it is. Nowadays, it's just selling T-shirts and network subscriptions, but that's just the bottom line. So, in all honesty, because The Miz wasn't a good T-shirt seller, they put him on the card, and look at The Miz now. This is a former world champion, a former U.S. champion, and this guy cannot fucking get a break. This guy is now a joke, and he's not even treated as a big main event threat anymore. He isn't. Nope. You can't see this guy being a threat to Daniel Bryan. And even though you could even argue Daniel Bryan versus The Miz would still be an awesome storyline. You could just have The Miz be like, come. How much would you have liked it better if, let's say, Daniel Bryan's first opponent for the title was The Miz? And I know a lot of people would be like, okay, come on, Chase, that's stupid. But no, Miz and Daniel Bryan have a good history. If they actually built up The Miz still and had The Miz look like a threat, you have The Miz come out and say, Daniel Bryan, congratulations, you did something with your life. But remember, I made you. I made you in NXT. I made you into the superstar you are today. You could have done this without me. I did this for you. But The Miz, the problem is, he doesn't look like a legit threat. But I feel Daniel Bryan and The Miz could still tell a great story. It's one of my favorite mid-card feuds in the PG era. And that's the problem is because the WWE, they look at guys based on stupid T-shirt sales nowadays, and they don't give a shit about anything else about these guys. And that's the problem. It's just like they don't really care what these guys do. I mean, when you have to make Cody Rhodes and Goldust feud in the most stupidest way possible, where it's a really easy booking way to make them feud, that's just stupid. They're brothers. They have an easy get-to-go card if you want them to wrestle. But no, you have Goldust running into fucking posts, costing Cody Rhodes fucking matches to make me care about this feud? No, they have a good reason to care about it without Goldust distracting Cody for stupid reasons. In all honesty here, the WWE needs to find a way to make you care more about them. Like, none of these characters in the mid-card division, besides maybe a Bad News Barrett, none of these guys are interesting. What's interesting about Big E, Antoine? What's interesting about him?
That's it. Just this. Comes out. Yeah!
No,
That's it.
no,
That's
it's
it.
not. It's not like what he did in FCW where he had the 5 count. I mean, if you guys watch some of his FCW stuff, you would think it was awesome because he would go down and he'd be like, 3 ain't enough. I need 5. Let me count to 5. I take out opponents so bad they can't even answer a 5 count. That's what made Big E a legit force because they made his character interesting like that. But like you said, all he does is clapping with his powder, acting like he's LeBron James. Like, really?
And this,
That's
this takes the straps down. Takes the straps down. The crowd be dead. It's like, yo, listen to me. Let me ask you fans. Listen, you fans might disagree with us right now, but let me ask you a very viable question right now. How long did it take a mid-carder before he even had a sniff chance of fighting Hulk Hogan? How hard did he have to work, and how long did that angle have to stretch, and how long did he have to build? How long did guys like King Kong Bundy and all these guys that Hulk Hogan beat? How long? Some of these guys never, Ted DiBiase, Jake the Snake. Some of these guys never got a chance to do a program with Hulk Hogan fully because there were so many people that they were building up at that time to give Hulk Hogan opponents. You have a guy come in 3 months, he's already fighting the type guy in the company. What is that going to prove? You have to go through obstacle after obstacle after obstacle. You have to build obstacles for somebody until you get to the final guy. And if he happens to get to the final guy and the WWE doesn't believe in him, does he go back down the totem pole? Okay, maybe we'll have that discussion after a year from now, year and a half from now, as opposed to 3 months, bringing somebody in, have him fight John Cena. Bray Wyatt's been, what, 6, 7 months, and he's already fighting John Cena. What? How long has he been in WWE? 6 months?
yeah.
6, 7 months, 8 months, and he's already fighting John Cena. There's nothing that's going to help that. Because at the end of the day, I don't believe when nobody tells me. Okay, when nobody tells me, this hurt Bray Wyatt. In a way, it hurt him. Because there's no way the storyline is getting worse. You got kids coming out doing crazy stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's okay, but the matchup at Extreme Rules, I didn't like it personally.
Oh,
and terrible match. But worse, they need to never remember that matchup they ever had. They need to get that out their memories. Period. And you have these guys. These guys used to have to work. Back in the days, these guys used to have to work and scratch and claw to get their opportunities to even fight Hulk Hogan, to fight Macho Man Randy Savage. These guys would have to. The only time these mid-card guys would fight these guys was at a house show. You wouldn't see it, and if you didn't see it, the match only lasted. If you look on YouTube and look at old matches with Hogan fighting the Big Boss Man or Kamala, mid-card guys, the match only lasts 6, 7 minutes. It wouldn't even last that long. And it wouldn't hurt these guys, though. It wouldn't hurt them because, one, it wasn't on television, and two, you didn't have the opportunity to dissect it and be like, well, there goes the end to him, because they would build these guys back up. Big Boss Man could lose, be a heel, team up with, what's the guy's name? Akeem with Slick or whoever he was, and make it happen. Nowadays, it doesn't work like that. Now you come in, you're great. I swear to God, I will not give it 3 more months. Rusev fighting John Cena, bro.
Yeah,
2 months.
I agree. Rusev would probably be the next in line to face Cena and probably end his undefeated streak because, like I said, the problem is like they rush these guys and they expect them to fight John Cena. Like you talk about the house show element, they don't use the house shows anymore to see like which guys are ready for the main event type of scene and which guys are ready for, to face the John Cena. They don't have John Cena facing off against, a Kofi Kingston or a Cody Rhodes or a Ted DiBiase Jr. just throwing random names out there. They have John Cena facing off against the dude he's feuding with on WWE TV. No, the house shows are used for to see where superstars are at. And that's the problem with the WWE. Instead, nowadays, they use the house show element as to sell tickets and merchandise because the company nowadays is not about their in-ring product. And as much as people want to disagree about that, it isn't. It's all about money, dollar signs, and more dollar signs, and let's add another dollar sign. That's all they care about. They don't really care that much about what they're producing on TV. They care to some degree, but what they care about is the money aspect of the business. That's what they're looking at when they do that. They don't care about what they're producing. They care about the money, and that's the problem nowadays is that money has just over-infatuated and screwed over so many guys. Like, look at a Kofi Kingston. This is a guy that you could say could make more money for the company, but they don't want to push him because they don't feel comfortable in it. And it's like what Schleg Daddy said in his John Cena video. the WWE is only making X amount of money instead of making XYZ money. They're only making this certain amount of money because they feel comfortable in that position, and they feel this position has worked for us for 10 fucking plus years. Why try to change the system now? That's how the WWE feels right now. The money's not rolling like it was in the Attitude Era. Why even try to change? Because they just think they are just too stuck in this stupid bubble, the John Cena bubble, that they are afraid to build up other guys and rebuild the lower card division to give us guys like Spike Dudley, Santinos of the world, where we actually care about these guys. And you feel bad when the monster main event heel beats them up. They don't build up the Intercontinental titles and the U.S. titles for belts that are actually prestigious and you mean something, like best of 7 series. Those are good ways to build up the U.S. and IC title matches. Get them into personal feuds. Make them feel personal. Make it feel like that IC title is as important as a world title. That's what makes a belt great, is when you make an IC title and a U.S. title feel important. Make it feel like it's as big as the World Heavyweight Championship, as big as the WWE Championship. These guys don't really have that mindset with the belts whatsoever. And with the upper mid-card, like we said, they know how to build up an upper mid-card. They just don't know how to execute the other guys and build up those guys to become big factors. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm tired of the same Money in the Bank formula. I almost think the Money in the Bank, it's a bad thing for a superstar when they win it, because then they're forced to big expectations that the WWE does not know if they can fill. And not only that, if that superstar fails as their first run as World Heavyweight Champion, the WWE just buries them to the bottom of the card, being like, oh, you didn't make us money, you didn't sell the T-shirts, get rid of them.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I think, honestly, to be real, the WWE is this, man. The WWE is all about money. They'll put propaganda as far as much money as they want, and then what they'll do is they'll give you what you want. The fans will bitch and complain. They'll give the Vince McMahon will say, okay, we'll give them what they want, and then the fans get what they want, and then they turn it back on the person that they wanted all along. That's really all this is coming back to. It's like, all right, we want Daniel Bryan. He was a mid-carder for a long time. We want him to be the champion. Now we're gonna give you Batista. Now we want Daniel Bryan. We don't want Batista. All right, he beat Batista. Now a month later, he's in a horrible storyline, and fans are starting to turn their back on him. This is what happens, man. You need to build guys from the ground up. You need to build them from the ground up. Remember back in the days where guys, like you said earlier, guys used to work. They used to. It's like working in life, man. It's like working in life. I'm not trying to make this too deep here, but people relate to it. You start at the bottom of your job, and then you eventually work to end up being a manager or end up one day owning a place. It just happens like that. You start from the bottom, and you put time in their character. You put time in their character. Not everybody is going to be a world champion. It's not in everybody's cards to be a world champion. Granted, there's some people that deserves a shot at the title, sure. Do some people deserve a shot at it? Sure. But does everybody deserve to be it? No. A title does not. People always argue with me, well, the Intercontinental title doesn't have no prestige to it. They're giving it to anybody. The Intercontinental title and the World Heavyweight title are two different meanings. You're the head of the company when you have that belt. You're the head man when you have that WWE title. That title still has some prestige to it to this day. Why do you think people were clamoring so hard for Daniel Bryan to beat Randy Orton? Because that title meant something to people. It meant something. The IC title, can you build it up that way? Sure. But there's never been no Intercontinental champion that's been the face of the company. It's never happened. The World Heavyweight Champion is the actual flag bearer of the company. You have to be very careful who you give that to. You have to be very careful who you give that to. Look at the history. Hulk Hogan made sure he did anything to stay on top. There's nothing wrong with this, but I'm saying this is some of the things that negatively come to them. Didn't want to give nobody else a shot. But who were you really going to give anybody a shot to at that time? Not name Ultimate Warrior. Can you look at that roster at that time and really name somebody? Not Jake the Snake or maybe Rick Rude if you wanted to give them to a shot. Maybe Kurt Hennig. I give you Jake the Snake, Kurt Hennig, Rick Rude, and Ted DiBiase. I give you those 4 guys that probably could have held the title if they built it right. Then you go to Shawn Michaels. Don't even get me started on Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart era, because there's nobody at that time, maybe besides Razor Ramon, that could have held that belt. Please. Who you going to give me? Diesel? Come on, man. No. Diesel held the belt, and you see what happened. Then you had Stone Cold. The Rock was a guy who was up there. He became a main eventer. Triple H was a mid-carder. He became a main eventer. So those 2 guys were behind him. Can you really name anybody that is not Triple H or The Rock that really could have held that title at that time?
And see, here's a name I'll throw out to The Undertaker. The Undertaker's a guy that, through all three eras that we're talking about right now,
Right. I
that
forgot to
could have,
mention him. Right. I forgot to mention him. Right.
that could have held the title, but you notice how that's why I always respect Undertaker is that he looks at mid-carders, whether they're good or bad, the Heidenreichs of the world to, the Mr. Andersons of the world. He goes to those guys and he works with them and makes really good storylines. I mean, why in the blue fucking 2002 is the Undertaker feuding with fucking Maven out of all idiots in the world? You know what I'm saying? It's just like that's what was good about the Undertaker. He did not need to always be in the main event scene. That's the problem is like a lot of the WWE main eventers, the thing is, a lot of them feel like they should be in the main event scene when they could perfectly be in the mid-card division and help get over some of the younger guys. Now, we could say, yes, John Cena is doing that with the Bray Wyatt right now, though, Chase. Yeah, but at the end of the day, who's going to be the winner of this? Is Bray Wyatt, after this feud, is he going to go on and become, a world champion? With Mr. Kennedy at the time when Undertaker was feuding with him, Mr. Kennedy was in a prime position, a lot of people said, to become a world champion. He was going to be a big star for that company. So that's the difference here when you look at, the whole situation with that. Because before then, Mr. Kennedy was, one of the favorites to win a Royal Rumble match or maybe even go on to WrestleMania 23 to become Mr. Money in the Bank. That's what I'm saying is the WWE main eventers have to go lower and lower on the card to help build these guys up and actually let these guys win and move them up forward to that main event scene. The problem is a lot of these main eventers don't let the little guys win and don't let the little guys build themselves forward.
Chase, that's the thing, Chase. It's like this. People say, oh, we want to see John Cena turn heel. Okay, cool. I would like to see something different with him as well. There's the argument, RVD is the perfect example that you could be the same person for your whole career and it doesn't matter. People will still love you. It's possible. It is possible. RVD has never changed. It's possible. But RVD is human. John Cena's not. What you want to do is you want to build people. If you don't want to turn him heel, WWE is too scared. All right, whatever. Don't make him a bad guy so people can love him and sell more tickets. Okay, don't do that. Give him some viable opponents that can, like I said in the last hangout we had, give him some viable opponents in the mid-card that can make him vulnerable. Build people up that can make him vulnerable. I'm sorry, but Rusev is going to lose in like 10 minutes to this guy. It's not going to work. And he's going to make a whole bunch of Lana jokes. He's going to bury Lana and make a whole bunch of jokes about her in the dress. He's going to sing some old dumb song, smirking the whole time. And Rusev is going to probably come, hit him with his old little suplex or whatever his finishing move is a couple weeks. Then he's going to hit an AA. I wouldn't be surprised if Rusev tapped, bro. I wouldn't be surprised if he taps out. The thing. That's the thing that happens, man. You need to build some guys to fight the guy, and you need to build somebody that when these characters rise up, they have a chance to dethrone you. You don't always need to win the battle. And that's the thing with these mid-card guys. This is the thing another thing that I want to say is that not everybody needs to hold the title, and not everybody needs to be the flag bearer. Oh, give him a title. Give him a title. Give him a title. No. You don't do that. What you do is you build them the goal of a wrestling fan. I remember talking to a former wrestler. I won't name drop his name, but a former wrestler who told me this personally. He said the goal you want is to be able to put asses in seats without having to have the damn title. Hulk Hogan, the title made Hogan. Hogan made the WWE, but Hogan made the title, and the WWE made Hogan. So it's kind of like everything came together. There's some guys that needed it. In my personal opinion, this is just me. You might disagree. This is the way I feel. Some of these guys have to have a title to be validated.
Oh yeah.
I feel that so a lot of these guys. Do I feel Shawn Michaels needed to be a world champion? No. Do I think he needed it for himself to be validated? Yes. Diesel didn't need no heavyweight championship. A lot of these guys get championships when they get to a certain level and they don't actually need it for the characters. Roddy Piper, Jake the Snake, all these guys are Hall of Fame guys, and they got there without having to carry a strap. They didn't need to do it. They were so powerful with their psychology and their characters that they didn't have to hold the title. Now people say, Antoine, well, there's nobody. They don't build nobody here to have a character now that can get over and do what they have to do. Well, let me ask you this question. If you're an employee and you have a disgruntled feeling about something, you're not going to voice your opinion about how you can get out there. Alberto Del Rio is voicing his opinion each and every week. He's still not getting anywhere. But what I'm telling you is, you can build somebody. Build build somebody, have him avoid John Cena until the final end. And he doesn't have to lose every time. John Cena doesn't have to, but please make it believable. Please have some people get over on him, because believe it or not, he's the only superstar that has never got by anybody. He's the only WWE superstar that every mid-carder has come up and he's never lost in the long run. And that is bullcrap. And that's the reason why grown men intelligence are insulted as fans. These mid-carders come up, they work so hard. You have guys like Daniel Bryan. You have guys like Damian Sandow. Why did John Cena need to beat Damian Sandow that night? Why?
They just didn't feel like Sandow was ready, and honestly, I think they were just like said, screw the undisputed title match at WrestleMania 30. Let's just do it at TLC, hot shotting shit. That's the only reason I could think of, that they were just hot shotting once again. That's what the WWE does. Is they hot shot guys too. Like I said, what I would do in the mid-card division, and I want you guys in the comment section down below, if you have any questions or if you want to know about a certain mid-card superstar, or you have ideas, just throw them out there in the comment section. For me, what I would do is, like, I would have lower card guys that, you know, you feed to the main eventers. Not like a fucking Sheamus taking on Batista, but the lower card guys that are kind of lovable. They get title shots for the IC title, but they don't necessarily win. They're kind of building block guys. I'd make the IC and the US title, just merge those two belts already. Call it a different name, or just keep the IC title name. I don't really care at this point. Just do something with it and make more better feuds with this. Make it seem personal. Make the IC champion seem like he is somewhat of a big deal, because title belts are a big deal. You care about who the UFC welterweight champion is. You don't care about, you know, who isn't the champion. You care about who the UFC welterweight champion is. That's the thing. Make us care about who the IC champion is. I don't care who the IC champion is if you don't make me care about it. Bad News Barrett is doing a good job as a character, yes, but how much do I really care that he's holding the IC belt? Where is he going to go next after the IC title? Is he going to go disappear and be on my superstars every week? Or is he going to be an upper mid-carder that challenges for the WWE title in the near point of the future? Not every IC champion needs to be an IC. Needs to go to the main event, though, in my personal opinion. Yes, what are you going to say?
You're absolutely right, man. I just want to say this, man. You're going to probably disagree with me, but can God on Jesus' earth, can he change that finisher, please? That elbow is not working for me, man. I'm sorry. It's just, I mean, some people don't care, but, oh, that's cool. He can get the crowd into it. Well, the Superman punch is stupid, but listen. It's not about that. This is not about that. First of all, it's not even his finisher. The spear is his finisher. The thing is that finisher right there is unbelievable. It's just not believable. I'm sorry. I'm not going to go on a diatribe about why I think Wade Barrett's finisher is stupid. He has a great opportunity. Please keep it going, Wade Barrett. I wish you the best. You're not one of the guys I can't stand in the company. There's some mid-card guys. Remember a couple years ago when Santino was in an elimination chamber and everybody was behind him even though they knew he wasn't going to win?
Yeah, exactly. That's what you need. You need stuff like that where, you know, like he was in the Rumble. Everyone thought he was going to win the Royal Rumble and get a main event shot at WrestleMania. Like, that's the thing. Like, and then Del Rio got instantly heel heat for eliminating Santino. That's what helped out Del Rio a lot. That's the thing. It's like some of these mid-card guys, you know, you can do so much more for their characters, have good mid-card feuds. I don't know how many wrestling fans I talk to, and a lot of their favorite matches are not some of the main event matches. They like the mid-card matches like Ultimate Warrior versus Rick Rude inside of the Steel Cage match, or Warrior versus Savage at a WrestleMania 7, Shawn Michaels versus, you know, Chris Jericho at WrestleMania 19, you got Chris Jericho versus like a Chris Benoit at insert pay-per-view here, you know, Kurt Angle versus a Rey Mysterio. You know, a lot of people's favorite matches are with mid-card guys, and then you can build good stories with the mid-card guys when they do win the title. I mean, look at Eddie Guerrero, look at Chris Benoit. I mentioned The Miz earlier. Daniel Bryan, to some degree, you could argue, but I don't really argue that he was a mid-card guy because he was at one point a former world heavyweight champion who did technically headline a WrestleMania, even though he opened the show. But he technically was a headline match at WrestleMania. It was for the World Heavyweight title. But like I said, some of these guys you can build up to be good superstars, and you can build up. But the problem is you just don't have any depth, and you don't have any care for us to really make us want to see these guys in action. Like, I'm sorry, whenever I hear SOS, I want to go to the bathroom. I don't really care about seeing Kofi Kingston anymore. He's one of my favorite superstars, but they're not really doing a good enough job for me to care about Kofi Kingston. Like, if he can do all this crazy stuff in Royal Rumble, how come every Battle Royale they don't mention that Kofi Kingston's a huge favorite? How come they don't make him do crazy stuff all the time in matches where they go, oh my God, I can't believe Kofi did that? It's only in like certain big matches where they make him do all these crazy spots. They don't do a good enough job building off the
Thank
crazy
you.
spots Kofi Kingston does.
Thank you. And we're seeing the cynical fans. So all we want is pretty much what's basic. All we want is entertainment, and all we want is things that look believable. John Cena's not believable. Kofi Kingston now at this point is only good for one night per year, one night, and he gets eliminated usually right after he does the crazy thing. You ever notice that? The thing about it is with him, and the thing about it with these guys, I'm gonna give you a perfect example of the perfect mid-card flop that has happened within the past 6 months. Goldust and Cody Rhodes. They were huge 6 months ago. They were coming out. People were loving that team. Oh, these guys were coming. Oh man, this Cody Rhodes and Gold. I was so entertained. That match with Goldust and Randy Orton. Some of these things that they had, man, were going great, man. And then they just slowly died a slow death. Now when they come out, I'm like, why isn't Goldust just chilling right now? He don't need to do this no more. Cody Rhodes to me is not a heel to me. He doesn't have that look. He doesn't. All his heel runs fail. And besides Legacy, everything he's done on his own has really failed. So I would make him a good guy. Like when he was a good guy and Stephanie McMahon fired him or whatever. See how much the fans were behind Cody Rhodes. He's like his father in a way, where he needs to be a good guy. He's not. Dusty Rhodes was not a good bad guy. Neither is Cody Rhodes. They have the same look, the same mannerisms. They deserve and do better as good guys because they're more believable to get behind. And he's going to turn heel now, and it's going to be pointless, and then nobody's going to care about Cody Rhodes no more. And he's going to be right where Del Rio is. I wouldn't be surprised if Del Rio and Rhodes was in a tag team called something, Al Rhodes or some stupid crap. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just the way they would do it. So, I mean, I think that they really need to take time and build these guys and notice. And wrestlers, please, wrestlers, listen, I'm an outside looking in. I'm not in your locker room. I don't know you. But I will tell you, please stand up for something. Please don't say, look. What can I do? What can I do to advance? What can I do? Why am I dressing up as Santa on Christmas? Why am I doing this? Let me get an opportunity. Let me have a consistent storyline. The only time people have a storyline is if it's the upper mid card or if it's the main event, as we said before. There is no feasible real storyline right now. Sheamus is coming out fighting Ryback. For what? What are we getting from that? What are we getting from that? Why is it? And this is why I do get kind of mad at the WWE, because now you have two titles. Now, don't get me wrong. I love the Shield and Evolution storyline. I love it, and I'm glad it's the only thing saving Raw. But look in hindsight 2020, we see that Daniel Bryan beat Randy Orton. Yes, we've seen Randy Orton versus Daniel Bryan 40 times, but why is nothing about his title shot being due back not being mentioned? Why is the fact that Sheamus beats Dean Ambrose, he loses the title, and I understand he's in the feud and Dean Ambrose doesn't care about the title no more, but they never mentioned that he lost the title and he's due a rematch. This is the kind of stuff that needs to be said. Oh, they already did.
Yeah, they had a rematch on SmackDown, but they didn't build it up. They just had a random match on SmackDown.
Okay, I didn't see it. Okay, so Sheamus was already champion.
Yeah, Sheamus already defended against Dean Ambrose on SmackDown, and that's another thing. Yeah, that's another thing. You didn't know that because WWE does not promote SmackDown worth a damn. I don't care what anyone says. SmackDown is a failure show right now. They need to get rid of that shit because when you're putting matches like
they do.
When you're putting Sheamus versus Cesaro on main event and not on SmackDown, I'm questioning your ability to book SmackDown right now. And I said, for example, with the Primetime Players feud, that was a feud that was mostly built on SmackDown. But how many of the audience that watches Raw actually watches SmackDown? I don't think a lot of I think it's like SmackDown gets like a 2.7 rating or some shit like that, or at least in the low to high 2 points, and Raw gets like high 3 point somethings to low 4 point something rating. Like, right? Am I correct on that?
I don't watch SmackDown. I don't watch main event. I don't watch SmackDown. I watch Raw on pay-per-views, bro. I refuse to watch SmackDown because it's just like, why is the Shield and the Wyatts fighting on main event? Why?
Mm-hmm.
Why? What is the purpose of that? When just a month ago they ended up giving you the best matchup prior to that match of the year. Prior at that time, if you want to argue Daniel Bryan and Bray Wyatt, they gave you damn man match of the year. So why are these guys fighting on main event? I see, and this is the argument WWE makes. Oh, it gives the upper mid card, it gives everybody a chance. No, it doesn't, because you end up having the same guys who won Monday winning on Thursday, winning on Tuesday when it airs Friday. Then you have main event. You have the same people who are fighting at that time. They end up going over again at the same time. There's nobody being built up here. You have 3 shows. You have a possibility within main event and SmackDown to build at least 4 or 5 guys within just those 2 shows alone, so you can keep the cycle going. You have a good cycle with the NXT guys going at a certain point. You bring a couple NXT guys, one in the blue moon, once in the blue moon. You bring them on TV. Why don't you recycle them when they come in and build them up? Have guys already built up from SmackDown and main event and Raw, so that they can move up a card. So it's like a ladder. Everybody moves up. Everybody gets a shot. And essentially, it seems like you end up fighting Shao Kahn or whoever ends up being in Mortal Kombat, who ends up being John Cena. But at least you get to move up the damn ladder and get an opportunity. So when you go down in the middle of the ladder, then you can fight the Adam Roses and the so-and-sos. And Adam Roses look like a joke. And you can have these guys built up, man. Everybody has a place. Remember in the WWE roster where everybody had a place and it made sense? Whether it was stupid or not. Everybody had a story. Everybody had a story. Everybody.
Yeah, no, totally. Like, none of these guys really have a story anymore. And then it's like, it's ridiculous to me because there was actually a stat before Sheamus got injured with that shoulder injury that put him on the shelf for all of 2013. Sheamus, on a weekly basis, was wrestling on Raw, Main Event, and SmackDown. Sheamus was wrestling 3 shows out of the 4. What good does it to you to put Sheamus on 3 of the 4 shows? You could have taken Sheamus taken Sheamus off of Main Event SmackDown and give that opportunity to someone else. Why is Sheamus wrestling 3 out of the 4 fucking shows that you have? I mean, NXT, I like NXT because it's a different show. That's why I like SmackDown back in 2002 through 2005, because it was a different show than Raw. It wasn't the same show. That's the problem with SmackDown nowadays. It's just that SmackDown is the same show as Raw. Like, people say, well, I watch SmackDown because it has better in-ring wrestling. Cool for you, but I don't want to see the same fuckers twice a week on my TV. Once a week is good enough. I'm fine with that. I don't want to see these guys twice a week on my TV set. That's just me. That's why I like watching weekly shows. That's why TV shows do weekly, so that way you see these characters every week. You don't see them every single day. You know, that's just the bottom line.
You build it up, man. Raw should be for kind of your mid card main event players. Once in the blue moon, you build some lower card guys. Bring in Santino for comedy, waste some time, which is the reason why I think 3 hours is stupid. But hey, that's just my opinion. And it ends up sogging down the wrestling a little bit. And I think the problem with this is too. I never thought I'd say this as a wrestling fan. We have too much wrestling with the same product. Yes. We have nothing really else to look at. There's nothing national syndicated television that we can really watch that can compete to say, okay, this is viable competition. TNA is going in the damn tank. Right now they are not the viable choice. If you want to watch them, fine. But NXT can end up, and honestly, this might sound crazy, but NXT is really starting to rival its own damn product. And only for the reason that you're starting to see some entertaining guys come in. Adrian Neville is incredible to me. You have guys who are really good, and in a low grand scheme of things, having real opportunity to blow. If I'm sitting there on Raw and I have these guys, well, SmackDown and main event should be my chance to build up mid-card guys. You bring one upper card guy to main event the show. Bring a tag team. Bring the Shield once in a blue moon. The Shield should not be on main event and be on SmackDown. They should not. Bring them on SmackDown. Have them main event a match. Have one of the guys main event a match against somebody. They're so over right now. You can have Dean Ambrose main event a match against somebody. It's not going to hurt them. But don't have them on SmackDown and Raw and main event, and it ends up consolidating. The more you see of somebody, the less awe you are around them. Like I know people that know Hulk Hogan, and it's just like, that's Terry. You know what I'm saying? That's not Hulk Hogan to me. At first, it was like, oh, that's Hulk Hogan. 3 months later, seeing him every day, oh, that's just Terry. I know him. See, that's what happens. We get tired. You get tired of the guys real fast. That's the thing with Daniel. That's the only negative with Daniel Bryan on his way to his championship chase. We saw Daniel Bryan too much. We saw him way too much. And you end up getting like, God, this guy's getting on my nerves. And it's not even his fault. The authority gets over. the authority, exactly. The authority beats his ass Monday. He's on main event, and then he's on SmackDown. Like, goddamn, how many times do I have to point my fingers up in the air? I understand it, but let me get something fresh. Let me get something. Don't stick these people down our throats. Do not let us breathe a little bit. Let us get some new characters. You got Sami Zayn, you got Adrian Neville, you got Tyson Kidd, you got who else is on there on that roster that could do something? You got the guy Cassidy that says the soft thing Cassidy. You got all these guys. Why cannot these guys be on main event and SmackDown right now getting their opportunities? I understand that you might not think they're ready, but look at half of the people on the roster. You have nobody new. You have nobody new that's fresh because everybody you've consolidated down to the point where we don't care. We don't care about the Miz. People are not starting to care about Dolph Ziggler. You know what they think about when they say Dolph Ziggler? Well, damn, he had a shot, but well. That's what people are saying. Nobody cares no more. He's getting eliminated by the Cobra. He's done. At least for right now. This is what I'm saying. Bring some people in. Bring some new faces in and start over. You have to start over at this point because everybody who's in the mid-card right now that's not Cesaro, that's not Bray Wyatt, or not The Shield is totally getting demolished right now. Wade Barrett's trust me, Wade Barrett's on his way. He's about to get that list too. He about to be there.
Yeah, he could be there. And Kramer Shithead in the comments said they could have easily turned Rhodes versus Sandown match last Monday into a reformation to Rhodes cause because honestly, no one gives a damn about the Rhodes brothers' crappy dissension into Jobbersville, which is true. That's what they're going to do. They're going to Jobbersville. Kramer Shithead said this. Obviously, he's a smart wrestling fan because he's from the Solid Monster group here, so he knows what's up. His real name is Luke. He said that in the comment section. But we also got questions from Fabulous Georgian 1 on Twitter at Fula Georgia 1. I don't know why I read Fabulous there, but he also asked me if you would have only one guy to take him from zero and build him up, who would it be and how would you do it? Who's that one guy you would take from zero right now and build him up?
Ooh. From zero right now, I personally believe this from the bottom of my heart.
Anyone. It can be anyone. It doesn't have to be like someone on NXT. It can be anyone, like a Kofi Kingston, Ryback or something. I would
honestly be real. I would take from 100 to 0. If I could pick two people, so I have to say two. I would pick Biggie Langston or I'd rebuild Ryback. Ryback had the potential, man. He had it. Ryback had it. I would take him. I would give him from Ryback. So I would give him a repush. You could easily put that Feed Me More back music. You could give him that Feed Me More music again, and people, when you build that back, people will want to chant that again. You have an opportunity to build him from 0 again to 100, and you can do the same thing with Biggie Langston. Just give Biggie Langston mic time and give him an actual character he can get over. He could do it. You just have to give the guys some time, man, and build them. What about you, Chase?
One of the guys that I would personally build up is Kofi Kingston. I like Kofi Kingston a lot. Yeah. He's one of my favorite guys to watch. Just personally, I know a lot of people would say probably turn him heel and do the whole African ascension gimmick, which I would probably do with him. I would probably make him into someone that is very edgy because that's one thing I also feel that lacks the mid-card division is not a lot of these guys are edgy. They're just cookie cutter, he's either a chicken shit heel or he's just a lovable baby face. None of these guys are different. They're all like the same. They're like one giant paintboard. Like when you mix their colors, they end up being the same. Like the heels are red, the baby faces are blue type of deal. They all form purple at the end of the day. So I would make him into an edgy heel, maybe into a more edgier baby face. Who knows what Kofi Kingston can do, but I feel Kofi Kingston has a lot of talent. And, he's the type of guy with the type of build where you look at John Jones with the UFC. He's as big as John Jones. He is as big as John Jones. I know a lot of people don't really realize that. But, yes, he is as big as John Jones. And he has the look of probably one of the biggest NFL stars today in RG3. So wouldn't you want to try to take advantage and try to build off with your black community and push a black wrestler and make him into a big deal? Not every black wrestler needs to be, a Big E size to get pushed. I feel Kofi Kingston could be of the exception. He's very athletic. I feel that he could do well. And when it comes down to the T-shirt selling, well, you'll never know if you could sell the T-shirts unless you feature him well enough. So I would choose a Kofi Kingston. And also George Fulia. Could continue on. What were you going to say?
Oh, no. I just want to say, a lot of people are going to say with you saying that, you're going to think, why is always, have to become about race? You just have to say that. Look, man, and with this situation as African-American man, all I'm saying is when you just look at what's going on, you just prefer one guy of that could reach that demographic that can help you make money. You know, different heritages can make you make money. Alberto Del Rio, for how lame he was, he had a lot of Mexican people tuning in. It's the same thing with an African American guy. You get one guy. It doesn't have to be the whole. It don't have to be a nation of domination. Just pick one guy and just give him an opportunity to get up there. Give him some time. Give him some personality. Titus O'Neil has it. Just give him some time, and he could get to that demographic. That's all.
Yes, and also he asked George Pelia, I was like, how much do you think Adam Rose will catch on, and time will tell. How much time will it take until he becomes a jobber like Fandango 3 or Real Brodus Clay? I hope Adam Rose catches on. I feel he brings more entertainment in wrestling because he's a different character. As long as you're different to me in today's shitty WWE, you can do a lot more, and that's what I think. I like his little Adam Rose posse. I know a lot of wrestling fans think he's more for the children, but who gives a shit if he's more for the children? I really don't care, as long as you do something different. That's why I'm excited for Bo Dallas, because I think Bo Dallas will be epic as hell, and that's why I'm a hashtag believer. I believe in anything. But when it comes down to Adam Rose, I hope he catches on really well with the fans. I hope that people kind of get his gimmick, because to me, I feel like there's a lot of people out there that wish they were kind of as cool as Adam Rose, have a little party, have a bunny that they can hang out with all these random hot chicks dressed up in leotards. I really hope Adam Rose does catch on, and he's a fun little experience for the WWE, just because, like I said, he's something different than the usual crap that we're getting in the mid-card division.
Wow. Good question. My personal opinion. When I first saw him, I was like, yeah, I'm behind this. I'm not behind the sucking on a lollipop thing. I'm just not behind that. But as far as personally, I think they're gonna. This is my personal opinion. I pray that they give the guy some time and they let it build up so people are singing the song and dancing. Because listen, man, the NXT is the perfect showing that fans can love you in that small arena, and it can work. If fans can love you in that small place, it can work. Look at Adam Rose. He had people dancing. Emma had people doing her dance. When Triple H comes out to this day on NXT, they cheer him. They cheer him. He's a fan favorite on NXT. He goes on our Raw, people boo him. It just goes to show you how different it is. But with Adam Rose, if you build it, you can take time. My personal opinion, they're going to mess up with this guy. I hope they don't, but he's going to end up with Emma and Santino in like 2 months, bro. It sucks. It sucks. But you just see it coming. You see it coming. And the WWE has, they send you these subliminal messages that you see a D pushing coming, bro. You could tell.
Yeah, and Kramer Shithead, he talked about guys that he would build up. He said, honestly, Sandor and Ziggler, both guys are still crazy talented and have just been eating crap for the past few months. And that loss against Rhodes, Sandow amazingly didn't show any sort of ring rust, and he's itching towards an explosion. So let him shoot the guy. Probably he has a ton of ammo. Let him shoot, pretty much shoot, not actually with a gun, but shoot in the form of speech. Ziggler, same deal. Let him wrestle, let him shoot, and ride it. I could see either of them rebuilt beating Sheamus, because in my mind, Sheamus has never been over. I would disagree with that right there, sir. Sheamus has been over on some occasions as a heel. You don't need to be over as a babyface. Sheamus, though, there was a point in time where he was an over heel, especially with the stuff that he did towards Triple H and did towards John Cena. He was an over heel. And not only that, the thing that ruined Sheamus' heel character is when he went running from the Nexus and he was like, John, help me, fella. Oh, God. But Sheamus has been over as a heel, just because you don't get the certain boos and stuff like that. And he says, I remember seeing him on the EC debut on ECW and winning the world title next week with no sort of explanation. Yeah, no, Triple H was working out with Sheamus. He's like, you're a main eventer. I want a main event with you one day, Sheamus. And Sheamus is like, oh, yeah, fella, I want the main event with you, too. Like, right now? So that's what Triple H was thinking about. He was thinking about mostly about that. We'll answer some more questions if you guys have any. George Anfilo talked about the Leo Kruger gimmick and stuff like that, and he asked if we would bring in Rose or Leo Kruger. I'm going to be honest with you. Leo Kruger was not getting him anywhere. I know a lot of people liked the Leo Kruger gimmick, but it wasn't going to get him anywhere. It would have just been it would have been one of those cookie-cutter cheesy heels for the WWE that can cut a promo. That's it. That's all the Leo Kruger gimmick was in the grand scheme of things in the WWE. It would have not got him over like the Adam Rose gimmick has the possibility of doing. And he also asked about the Rumble match. He said, did you get the same feeling as being the last Royal Rumble match? Like, we had the fewest main event guys, in the last many years, and the rest looked like jobbers? Yeah, they did, because I remember when I made my top 5 Royal Rumble winners, top 5 guys that could actually win the Royal Rumble for this year.
I love y'all. Y'all wrestling fans. Yeah, you sorry, man. That's what I say. I love y'all. Y'all wrestle fans on point today. I love y'all.
They're smart. I like the people that we were breeding on here, Dick. These guys are really smart. But yeah, like these guys, when I was making my top 5 list, I think the only jobber that I really named that had the point of winning the Rumble was Damien Sandow, and at the time I made that video, I didn't know Batista was coming back. So I put Sandow on that list, but then the rest of the 4 guys, it was CM Punk, it was Daniel Bryan, it was Sheamus, and I can't even remember the 4th guy, in all honesty. See, that's the thing. None of these guys look like viable threats to win the Royal Rumble. That's the problem. You're right. Most of these guys do look like jobbers at the end of the day in the Royal Rumble match, and most of them don't feel like they have a legit chance to win. Like, I remember, like, freaking 2009 when I saw Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase in the Final Four. I said, oh, my God, they actually have some big shit planned for these guys, that they're in the Final Four. I mean, it's a big deal to make the Final Four of the Rumble. So I thought they had some big things going when they made that Final Four.
I think it's sad. It's like the NBA, man. You get like 5 elite players, and then everybody else is just kind of there. You get like 5 elite all-stars. You see the all-star team, it's like 5 guys you know that's like just raw as hell and nobody can stop. And then the rest of all-stars, you're like, he ain't getting past the second round. It's kind of like that, man, with the WWE roster, man. And you get CM Punk, you get Bryan, you get Cena. You get Sheamus, since they love him, or Triple H does. You get Triple H, Randy Orton.
Who are the 5 elite players in the NBA to you? And then we're going to compare them to the wrestling counterparts.
5 elite players in the NBA right now. Elite.
Yeah,
elite.
You were talking about like in the All-Star game. There's 5 elite players that you know can do shit. And then afterwards, we're going to compare them to the main eventers in the WWE and give them their comparisons.
Gotcha.
We're going to do a little sports comparison here.
LeBron James, John Cena.
Yeah, LeBron James and John Cena is a given. The way that ESPN propagandas LeBron James is how WWE propagandas John Cena. Given right there.
Easily. That's a given.
Would you say...
I'm going to go by to Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is kind of like Daniel Bryan in a sense, kind of, in a way.
He is.
A little bit. Maybe not exactly, but you could probably say some other people, but for top guys, you could say that's him. He's the MVP right now. He's the flavor of the month right now. He's the MVP. So you might say Bryan.
Yeah, Bryan and Durant, you could also say the same thing because, they are guys that work very hard. You can say that they're one of the best players. Like Kevin Durant, even though LeBron James, people say he's the best player, you look at Daniel Bryan and you compare him to a Kevin Durant, and you could probably say, like, well, he's actually the overall best player. The media just likes to overhype a LeBron James, just like the WWE propaganda overhypes the John Cena character. So, yes, you could very well put Kevin Durant and Daniel Bryan together. I agree with that.
Chris Paul, who people say is the best point guard in the league, but he's never been past the second round. So who would you say is that? I'm going to ask you, who would you put with Chris Paul? He's an elite point guard. He's in the All-Star game every year, but he can't get past the second round.
Can't get past the second round. I speak of someone that really can't get super overs and really has got screwed over in certain situations. And Chris Paul in New Orleans sometimes got screwed over with situations with David West being injured, and sometimes he would get injured and his team would fall out of the playoffs. I would compare him to a Randy Orton type of situation. Randy Orton and Chris Paul is a really good situation. A really good comparison.
Yep, that's a good one.
Minus the commercials that Chris Paul gets over Randy Orton, they're kind of almost the same type of person if you look at how they are.
Okay, that's 3 people. I would still put Dwight Howard is still the best center in the league, man. I'd put him just kind of by default. It depends.
I wouldn't put him as as one of the 5 elite players, though. I wouldn't put him as one of the 5
I'm with you, though.
players.
I'm with you. I'm kind of looking at pop position. If you got Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Chris Paul, I'm looking at the All-Star game. Dwayne Wade.
No, I wouldn't put Dwight. I would put Carmelo. I would say Carmelo is one of those elite players.
Okay, Carmelo. Yeah, Carmelo. Yeah, because that's my boy. I'm a Knicks fan, so I'd say Carmelo. Yeah.
I would say Carmelo is one of the best players, and I would compare him to Batista, where, even though Batista is a multiple-time world champion and stuff, Batista never got the certain amount of love that John Cena got when John Cena was on top. Kind of like Carmelo. Carmelo didn't really get the much love like, as LeBron James gets. Batista, he's a really good power wrestler. Carmelo's a really great scorer, but we only look at Carmelo as just a scorer. There's times where Carmelo can step up and play some defense. There's times where he is unselfish. And we look at Carmelo as a one-dimensional type player, how we also look at Batista as a one-dimensional type of wrestler. Compare just like Carmelo, and then we compare Batista and Cena. Now, normally people will say Batista is better than Cena, but for most cases in the WWE propaganda, Cena is greater than Batista, just like in the ESPN propaganda, LeBron James is greater than Carmelo Anthony. So, yeah, I would probably say Batista and Carmelo are comparable. And who's Triple H's NBA comparison? Who's Triple H? Who's he? Because he's obviously he's obviously a main guy in the company. He is the main eventer. You can't deny that.
And he's also been pushed there to the moon. Wow, that's a good one. Let me think. Hold up. Give me 1 second. I know he's on the tip of my tongue.
Because I'm trying to think of someone. I'm trying to think of someone that would compare to Triple H. It's really hard.
I'm going to be real. This is my opinion. Looking at it. Thinking about all the teams.
Would you say he's like Tony Parker?
No. Personally, no. If you think so, sure. That's your opinion. I see where you're coming from.
Because like with Tony Parker, kind of like Triple H in the Attitude Era, and sadly still today, because I find Tony Parker to be one of the most underrated NBA players. And Triple H is considered an underrated wrestler, and a lot of people don't really give Triple H as much love during the Attitude Era or give much love during his time during the Ruthless Aggression Era because they always say he's burying people. They don't give him as much love as Tony Parker doesn't get as much love just for playing with the San Antonio Spurs. I would also say Tim Duncan. Maybe you can compare Triple H more to a Tim Duncan type of deal where they have really, really great success in their careers, but they just don't get the love that they deserve in getting in those careers. Or maybe Undertaker is more comparable to a Tim Duncan for sure. But Triple H, I would probably say maybe like a Tony Parker. So
I would say as far as new guys, the elite people, this is my opinion. I'll explain why. I would have to say probably Harden for Triple H, and this is the reason why I would say James Harden. A lot of people think he was at his best when he was with his team. A lot of people think James Harden is at his best when he was at OKC, even though he's what he is now. A lot of people think he's best when he's at OKC. Triple H, a lot of people loved him best when he was with DX, when he was with a team. A lot of people think Triple H is at his best when he has an anchor with him. People, when he's alone, it's not the same. People be like, James Harden with the Rockets, he got Dwight, but, But when he was with OKC, suck it, and everybody's happy. DX evolution. It's just you can compare Triple H to many different people. Your Tony Parker comparison is exactly right because in some ways Triple H is underrated, in some ways he's overrated. It really just depends on how you look at Triple H. Let me real quick tell you my opinion on Triple H. Let me give you my good opinion. I think he's very entertaining when he's with other people. Do I think he was shoved down our throats in a way? Slightly. His heel run before he was with that heel run with Evolution when he had the title kind of hurt him a little bit to some people because he wouldn't really help anybody in a way, but at the same time I understood why he had the reign that he had. Do I think the him being a boss's daughter kind of gets thrown out there a little bit too much sometimes? Yes, because he was a great worker prior to that, but it did help him. If he's gonna say that didn't elevate him, he's crazy. But I think that Triple H, if I had to do Triple H is in my top 15 all time. Top 15.
Yeah. I would say he's one of my favorite wrestlers. I don't know. I would put Triple H in the top 20 category of all-time wrestlers.
15, 20. It depends on how you look at him. I'd definitely give him 20. I think below that you probably hate him, but 20, 15.
Because with the top guys today, actually, let's talk about that. I know this is about mid cards, but we can transition a little bit.
Yeah, let's
Don't worry.
transition a little bit. Yeah,
We'll get to your questions. Actually, let's get to this one question before I ask this question. George Pillion asked, do you think WWE mid card misses a cruiserweight guy who does not get injured and an amateur style guy also to be more diverse? Yes, they do miss the diversity inside of the ring because the cruiserweight guy, let's face it, Mystico, aka Sin Cara, was supposed to be that guy, but Mystico failed. He just did not transition. Also, WWE failed because they wanted to get him on TV as soon as possible because they knew how big the Mystico name was in Mexico, and they wanted to push him and get him over and all that other stuff. Yes, they do miss that high flyer, cruiserweight type of guy. Yes, they do miss that amateur wrestler, kind of like Kurt Angle, but an amateur wrestler with character. Remember, like I said, it's not just about your in-ring work, it's also about your character. And that was a good thing about Kurt Angle. How many Kurt Angle segments do you remember Antoine just laughing at this doofus where he's like, I'm a gold medalist. You should drink your milk. And then he had like the sign saying how great he was and why you need to watch. It's a character. That's the thing. It's not just about your in-ring work, it's about your character as well. If you're not the overall package, nothing will happen.
Also, I want to tell you guys something, quick plug. You guys that are watching this right now, please do me one quick favor. Speaking of Roman Reigns, we were talking about him earlier. I made a potential theme song for him when he goes solo. I have to put this out there. It's been getting so many hits. It's been out for 2 months. Go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/message, MESSAGE, Montesi, MONTEASY TV. I know it's long, but it's Message Montesi, which is one of my aliases. Message Montesi TV, youtube.com, MONTEASY TV. Message beforehand. The first thing you're gonna see is the Roman Reigns theme song I made 2 months ago. I dropped it. It's got over 13,000 hits already, man. Please check it out, y'all. It's actually, I sent it to the WWE. They said they'll consider using it. I don't know if it's gonna happen. I don't know because the WWE has a sense of making some whack ass theme songs for people. But please check it out, y'all. That's all I wanted to get out there. What's the next question you said about the main event players, bro?
Okay, I want to know from the big main eventers now in today's WWE, from John Cena, we already talked about Triple H being a top 20 superstar of all time, but where does John Cena, Batista, a CM Punk, a Daniel Bryan, and I'm throwing CM Punk's name out there because he was a top main event guy in this PG era, a Daniel Bryan, and a Randy Orton, where do those 5 guys go on a list of the top overall best wrestlers of all time? Not just WWE, but all over the world. You know, where do they go? Like of all times, where do they go? Let's start with a Daniel Bryan. Where's Daniel Bryan on the top list of wrestlers of all time? You don't need to give an exact number. You can just say like a top 70 or top 20, top 30 type of deal. No exact number.
Daniel Bryan has to prove. Daniel Bryan has already been good, but you have to, in order to be great, you have to be at an order of a top spot for a period of time to be one of the greatest, or at least a top mid-card guy. Daniel Bryan right now, if I had to say, I'd probably give him top 40.
Yeah,
40.
I agree.
His accomplishments is not there yet fully to be like, yo, this is a top 15 guy of all time. Is not there yet, but give him a year, he'll climb up that ladder extremely fast. But top 40. Because you got to put these guys' accomplishments in there, whether forced or not. They have to go in there, man. They have to.
I think he's a top 40 star as well, and I feel like he could crack his way to a top 20 type position when it's all said and done for him. What about CM Punk? Where's CM Punk for you?
Top 30.
Yeah, agreed.
Top 30, 25, top 30. I don't know if his run has been long enough to where even I could put him over a Triple H, because Triple H had a long run of being entertaining. And as much as you hate Triple H, you have to be honest here. He had 2 successful factions. He had one. He was the best heel in the company from the early 2000s. You have to put that in there. I can't put CM Punk over him yet, and CM Punk was on his way to being over him. But I will say that I would put him top 25, top 30. He's above Daniel Bryan easily. But
yeah, he's above Daniel Bryan right now.
I would put CM Punk. The more I don't see CM Punk, man, the more I miss that dude. And I can honestly say I don't know why I understand. There's many things of why he left. If he's not happy, whatever. I wish he would have honored his contract and then left. But you could tell the glaring weakness of in-ring work is missing with him gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he used to push a lot of guys to get on really good matches. So I totally agree with that. Let's get started. Let's see who's next. Batista. Where does Batista rank?
Okay, Batista. Same. I'd put him 40 and under, 40 to 1, somewhere in there. He deserves it. from '04 when he broke off. He faced the Undertaker at WrestleMania, gave Undertaker one of his best WrestleMania matches. I don't care if you're one of them guys that want to see a whole bunch of crazy flips. The guy gave Undertaker one of his best WrestleMania matches.
Yes.
No matter how you could say Undertaker obviously called the whole thing and all that crap. It's not about that. It was very entertaining. The fact that it was in the middle of the card at 22, 23, whatever it was, 23 was ridiculous. But I give him that. I definitely will give him top 40 all time. Well, I don't know. Him and Daniel Bryan are kind of like in the same place right now. That's the way I could put it. But with their accomplishments, he's kind of in the same place. Batista had a little bit more of a run on top, and he played both characters very well. He's a good babyface and a good heel. Daniel Bryan was a good heel, good babyface. So they're kind of like in the same area right now. Give Daniel Bryan a strong run with the title, he'll be above Batista. But they're kind of in the same right now to me.
Yeah, same here. Like, even though Batista has a lot of success when it comes down to the title reigns and everything like that, he necessarily was never the guy of the company because they just kind of like undershoot him and they moved him over to the SmackDown brand, and it didn't really help out. But he is a top 40 type of guy to me. I would even argue maybe number 35 or something like that, like a top 35 position as well. It's a hard argument, but it's something that you could possibly get done. But yeah, Batista I feel falls into that category just based off his accomplishments as a whole as a superstar. So that's what I would say with Batista. What about Orton?
I'm sorry. A lot of people say, "Oh, you bash Orton, you bash Orton." No, I think Randy Orton is a top 25 wrestler of all time, bro. I'm sorry. I think his baby. I think a lot of people don't realize this. Oh, that's a little too high. Top 30. At least give him top 30. I think Randy Orton, honestly, in my opinion, and a lot of people will disagree with me on this. And people, oh, Antoine, you're stupid. I know. I'm not the hugest Randy Orton fan, and I will give him this. I will give him the same rank as a CM Power. I'm definitely putting him over Batista, and with his career accomplishments and the highlight matches he's had, I'm putting him over Daniel Bryan right now. I'm sorry. He's been around longer. He's done more in that record of that company. He's been a top guy. Daniel Bryan is right up there with him. Daniel Bryan can overpass him in about a year. But Randy Orton, Daniel Bryan has never had a run like Randy Orton had when he was a heel, bro. I'm sorry. He's never had that. You have to put that kind of stuff in perspective here when you put top guys. Randy Orton has a heel when he was going against John Cena. He was the first Viper gimmick. Bruh, the Legend Killer gimmick. Dog, come on, man. Come on. You got to give Randy Orton his credit. And I'm not just saying this because Chase is his little brother. I'm being this as a for real wrestling fan. I have to put Randy Orton up there. Can he sometimes be boring? To me, sometimes. His matches he can be a little boring sometimes in his matches. He's not the most showy guy, but the dude can go. So I'd give him top 30.
Yeah, I would put him into that top 30 range as well, just based off his accomplishments. And one guy also asked me about, like, what did I think when Randy defeated Christian? And this just goes for Randy Orton's career. It was a missed opportunity of turning him heel. I feel like with Randy Orton, and I'm not just saying this because I'm an Orton fan, I just feel there's a lot of times with him that the WWE has missed an opportunity to make him a bigger star. Like at Unforgiven, there's no Unforgiven '06. There's no way in hell that you should have had John Cena retain there, but they did. They made John Cena retain via DQ, which did add more to the story, and I'll give credit. That's more story than John Cena normally gives to superstars nowadays, and it did set up a last man standing match that never happened, but they never gave Randy Orton that definitive win over John Cena during that time to make him look like a legit threat as a heel. A lot of you guys want to talk about, WrestleMania 30. Oh, I'm done with the WWE if Daniel Bryan doesn't win the championship. Well, WrestleMania 25, I stopped watching wrestling in 2009 because they did not give Randy Orton the WWE championship at WrestleMania 25. That is no bullshit. You can ask me anything about 2009. My knowledge of it is shady as fuck. The only thing that I've watched from 2009 is Straight Edge Society, CM Punk taking on Jeff Hardy. Those are I've seen some DX and Legacy matches. I believe that's when they were feuding. I'm not 100% sure. I've seen some Batista heel turn stuff, which is fucking hilarious. You're supposed to be my friend and stuff. But during that whole Randy Orton and John Cena feud in 2009, I didn't give a shit. Yeah, my boy was on top, but I fucking hated that they ruined his heel character and his heel gimmick that was so fucking hot and that was actually could be a legit heel, and they ruined it to make him some stupid guy that can barely beat Shane McMahon to win the fucking title. Are you fucking kidding me? Get the fuck out of here. And same with Christian. When he beat Christian for the World Heavyweight title, he should have turned heel. He didn't need to turn fucking babyface. They made him into a babyface and they made Christian upset at Randy. What the fuck? Why not make Randy into a dick heel at that point? That would have helped a lot, especially because a lot of people wanted to see Christian as champion. Edge just retired, and they were wanting to see what Christian can do with the title. But instead, you make Christian into a whiny heel. And yes, Christian has played that in the past when he took on Edge. But at the same time, it didn't work out as bad because the story was all flipped off. Yeah, sure, they had good matches, but that can only go so far. You ruined Randy's character because after he lost the world title to Mark Henry, he was just pretty much doing jack shit all, being a lame-ass babyface. Him being as a heel works better in his career, and I feel with Randy Orton, the WWE has fucked over him so many times in certain situations, which can make him into a bigger star. I've named you a couple, but there's some in 2004 and 2005 that you can even argue where they fucked him up. So, in all honesty here, a lot of you guys may just say this is me bitching about Randy Orton not getting his position, but hey, it's true. And you can do the same thing with Daniel Bryan. You can do the same thing with the CM Punk and talk about their situations where their characters were ruined. Randy Orton has the same exact thing. Randy Orton has the same exact thing. Even though he's a part of the Breakfast Club and he gets more privilege than other superstars, same shit has happened to Randy Orton in the past, and I gave you clear-cut examples why. And so sometimes that's why I get pissed off with what the WWE does with Randy Orton, just like you guys do with CM Punk and Daniel Bryan. Randy Orton is a top 30 superstar of all time, in my personal opinion, of wrestling, just based off the 10 championships that some of them were just hot potatoed onto him. I don't really give a shit. He got those championships.
Bro. Listen, man, I'm be honest with you, man. I'm sorry to cut you. I'm getting tired of what they're doing with Roman Reigns already, bro. Just as a wrestler, man. Why does this guy, it doesn't look good because eventually this guy's going to end up looking like Cena. Let me tell you something right now. I'm going to be on a Roman Reigns. I'm never going to stop being a Roman Reigns fan. That's my brother. Much love to him. I know his family good. Much love to him. But I'm going to be real here. I do not like what they do with this guy. Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose does all the work. He gets the tag. He does 2 punches, a clothesline. He does a spear, Superman punch. He wins. He always gets the pin. Guys, WWE, please let this man do more in the ring. I know he can do more than that. The past couple months, that's why please make him do more solo matches and make him fight longer so we can see what he can do. I know he got more than a Samoan drop. Just give him some more. Let him work some more and get him some more time because he'll be exposed when he gets to that point where he breaks off. He'll be very exposed if he doesn't get that time.
Yeah.
You make Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose do all this stuff. They get their ass whooped. They carry the match up for 15 minutes. And then you get this guy. He gets the tag. Then he comes in. Then he gets the crowd. Now, don't get me wrong. There's nobody at WWE right now prior to Randy Orton or Daniel Bryan besides Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan, and Randy Orton can get the crowd in a frenzy when they want to. They can do it. Roman Reigns has with the crowd right now what he's starting to get with the crowd, to get the crowd hyped, what 95% of the roster can't do. They don't know the mannerisms, the look, how to get the crowd into it. I know this isn't about Roman Reigns, but I'm saying eventually they're going to have to do that, bro. And I want him to be a top 50 all time. But they have to let him do more. Tell me, Chase, you don't see this yourself. He's sitting there fighting. He's sitting there fighting. He goes and tags out. He stands in the apron. He's doing the same thing basically they do with John Cena. Cena doesn't do nothing for most of the match. Then he gets the tag and he comes in and gets the win. It's not going to help him, bro. It's going to make people hate him.
That's what I talked about in my Roman Reigns video. Like, yeah, the Superman punch is cool. The spear is cool. But show me more from your moveset. Let me see what else you can do. Well, so besides just those moves, because, yes, I do get amped up with Roman Reigns when I watch him wrestle. But at the same time, I want to see a little bit more. And we're going to end the show off with talking about where does John Cena rank on the top superstars of all time.
Bruh.
This is how we're gonna end the show off in discussing this.
Oh God, let's end this show and then what we'll do is, bro, how about this? How about the next Google Hangout we write down our top 20s and then share them with the people. Okay. Our top 20.
I'll do that.
We'll do our top 20 of all time from any promotion, not WWE, just anybody, and why they're our favorites, or you want to do our favorites or who you think is the best?
Who we think is the best.
Who we think is the best all around all time. Okay, I got you. John Cena, where does he rank? Let me take the hatred out. Let me take the BS out. I will put John Cena in the top 40 of all time.
Top 40?
I give John Cena just because you have to put everything in the consideration. His achievements puts him up there. His reign puts him up there, as forced as it is, and you cannot denounce what he did as a heel, as a rapper for that small time. It was very entertaining. You have to add that in there. It was a very small time, but it was very entertaining for that small time that he did it.
Yeah.
Then for the past 10 years, he's been the same guy, which hurts him. He would be higher if his character changed. He would be top 20, top 15 if his character changed. He just off his character alone. Hulk Hogan is easily a top 10, 15 wrestler of all time, but he's never been great in the ring. So you really have to look at this from a really, really deciphered standpoint, bro, before I let you retort. I think John Cena is extremely sloppy in the ring. I think he's never been that great of a wrestler to me. I think that he doesn't necessarily know how to get the... John Cena's not that guy that knows how to get the other guy to that point where it can help him. He's never been that guy, which hurts him. He's never been that guy that can say, okay, what can I do to help you out to get you to that point? He says he does, but it's obvious he doesn't because everybody gets hurt at the end. So, top 40, man. I think the positives about him, if I can say some positives, if I can think of something. Listen, man. John Cena's we got to stop doing this with John Cena. Oh, he's a nice guy. But no, we don't say that about anybody else. Yeah. Roman Reigns is a nice guy. I mean, Daniel Bryan is a nice guy. That has nothing to do with it. Why would John Cena, when we criticize him, we have to say, oh, he's a nice guy? That has nothing to do with his talent in the ring, bro. It's just, he's top 40. His accomplishments puts him up there. He's not better than Ric Flair. He's not better than Bret Hart. He's not better than Goldberg. He's not better than Randy Orton. He's not better than Triple H. He's not better. I mean, dog, the list can keep going who he's not better than, bro. I mean, we can really keep this going. He's not better than Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, Andre the Giant. He's not better than none of these guys, bro. And it's he's the most forced down person I've ever seen in any respective sport in my life, bro.
Yeah. For me, I have seen it actually in the top 30 range, and that's mainly based off the accomplishments of being a 14-time world champion and
understood.
U.S. champion and world tag team. Like, that's more based off accomplishments. I do think Cena he's not the greatest merchandise seller of all time, but for his time period, he has dominated merchandise, and I also play that into a factor of how dominant he has been in the merchandise and also his charity work. I think I will remember John Cena more as someone who did try his best to entertain the fans, even though it wasn't the greatest ever, but he has tried his very darn best. He's someone who is a hard worker, which I can respect in some degree, someone that does give a lot and does great promotion work for the WWE. If we're talking about some of the best promotional guys ever in wrestling, John Cena is clearly in the top 10, but overall, when I look at wrestlers, he's in the top 30 spectrum for me, just because more or less of the accomplishments that he has had with being a 14-time world champion and being a former United States champion and world tag team champion, teaming up with different superstars. But other than that, he doesn't really have too many memorable feuds for me. Probably him versus Batista, him versus The Rock are like two memorable feuds. He has a couple memorable matches, but then at the same time, you have to look at the opponents he was facing in some of those memorable matches and see how much work he actually did in those matches as well with the CM Punks and the Shawn Michaels of the world. You know, for me personally,
his best feud was against Randy Orton to me, bro. That was his best feud to me. Was against Randy Orton or Batista, one of the two. Yeah. Randy Orton, that feud went for a while. They got boring, they got stale a little bit, but Randy Orton has always been his best opponent when it's built right. So, I mean, I don't know, man. It's top 30, I totally understand where you're coming from. 30, 40, I'm with you.
He's not like he's not in the high 30s. He's more of the lower end, like a 38 or 39 to a 40, 41 type of guy to me. Like that's where I would place Cena on the list, like somewhere around there. Because I also have to just also put into the factor of how much money he has made for the company. Even though it's not a lot of fucking money, he has put in some effort, and being a draw does help you a little bit in some degree.
Sure.
When putting in,
you can't take that away from the man.
Yeah, you can't take that away.
You can't take that away from the man.
Yeah, because that's why I put Cena up there. I don't put Cena in like a top 10 or a top 15 because he doesn't deserve that situation. He's not a top 10 or 15 guy for the company, or for any company for that matter. Maybe for TNA, but I don't think he's overall one of the best superstars I've ever seen in my life. You know, he's one of the better wrestlers I have seen. That for his size and build, he's one of the better wrestlers in recent memory for the PG era and for what we consider wrestling today. He's definitely above the spectrum of what you would think, in my personal opinion. So that's what I think with Cena. You know, he's not really one of the best of all time, but he's definitely a top 30 guy at best. You can make an
Yeah,
argument.
man. I just want to say my
You can make a
final things about Cena.
Yeah, you can make a hard argument for a top 20. You can make a hard argument for top 20. You would have to blow me away with your argument, but you would have to make it really hard. Kind of like with Batista. You could make a hard argument that he deserves to be in the 30 range, even though I see him as a lower 49 to 55 type superstar.
Yeah, and that's why I say I put Triple H above Randy Orton. I put Randy Orton above John Cena. I put John Cena and Batista in kind of the same area. And I put Daniel Bryan somewhere in that mix. Daniel Bryan is not over Randy yet. He's not over Triple H yet. But he's and technically he's not over John Cena, but Daniel Bryan, to me, why is he so low? It's just that Daniel Bryan needs more time at that top spot to see how he does. It's easy to throw somebody out there and just be like, oh, Daniel Bryan, and technically in the ring, Daniel Bryan might be one of the top 10 to ever step foot in the ring as far as in-ring ability, but that's not, we're not talking about in-ring ability, we're talking about everything. And WWE has hindered some of it, but really think about this. Only the past 2 years have you seen the best of Daniel Bryan, because it all started when he teamed with Kane. That was entertaining. That's when Daniel Bryan got on the map, is what he got with Kane. So he takes that time. Yes, you put in Ring of Honor, everything that he done, that's great. But then again, you have to say, your position that you end up putting yourself, what you do at that position is what's going to leave your legacy. Not what they give you, but when you get it, how do you respond in your legacy? And he's at the pinnacle. Let's see how he acts at the pinnacle. If he does well on his pinnacle, he'll be higher than CM Punk eventually. He'll be top 15 if they want him to be. But he has to. We have to see what he does at the top. And right now, the WWE is not doing anything to help him. So he has to do that, man. But that's my final words, man.
Yeah. This is our final words. So next time when me and Antoine get together, we'll be doing the top 20 wrestlers of all time. Our list will be a little bit different, but we're going to list the top 20 wrestlers of all time, and then also throw in, some of our favorite wrestlers while we're at it too. That's what we're going to be mainly talking about, is the top 20 wrestlers of all time. I'd like to thank Antoine, and for those who sent in questions and also commented about the mid-card division. We're going to get like this, where the first hour will mostly be talking about the main subject, and then later on 30 minutes kind of previewing of what we are going to do in the future. Thank you, Antoine, for joining me on the show. Very great to have you. Can't wait to have you for more episodes. Antoine will mostly be on for, like I said, these topical type of stuff that I'm going to do, as well as pay-per-view live event recaps. So every time we do it after a pay-per-view, once my review is filmed, I'll get Antoine on here and we'll discuss the pay-per-view in full detail. So that's when you can catch Antoine on my channel. You can catch Antoine and all the links in the description box. More to Life Radio, his YouTube channel with the Roman Reigns music video. You can check him out on there. All of his links are in the description box. So thank you guys very much for tuning into this video. If you're watching it via archive, thank you for watching it via archive. We are out of here. Hope you guys enjoy, and you can still comment down below your thoughts on the topic or any topic we talked about in this video. Later, guys, and peace out.